The Great American Hiding Spot.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the show, people.
Welcome to the show.
Eat my shorts.
So here is to conversation.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Welcome to the Cash Exchange.
Welcome.
What's up?
Not much. I am in between jobs for one more day. There was a little bit of a gap between actually fully going into my training with a new place. So I've had a couple of lazy days. It's been nice.
How's that been going? Those can either be really productive or really unproductive.
A little of both. I've gotten all of my chores done, but I also kind of feel like Ben Wyatt in Parks and Rec when he's unemployed. And so he spends 2 whole weeks making 3 seconds worth of stop motion.
Claymation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
well, hey, I guess that's better than what you could be doing.
This is true. It's all about silver linings. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I just watched something I've been meaning to watch for a while. The Fly Me to the Moon with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum.
How was that?
It was interesting. Part of me wanted it to go full bore into the whole moon landing was faked, and this is how they did it. And they almost went there. They almost went there. They went right up to the line, and then they're like, just kidding. They really went to the moon, and they really got the footage from the moon.
Oh.
So much so
that
the third act, the whole plot was that government comes in and says, hey, we don't trust you to be able to pull this off. So you have everything set here to fake it. So as soon as we can switch the feeds, then we're just going to do the fake thing. That's what everyone's going to see. And then they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. We finally have the Scarlett Johansson. She's like, I finally have a conscience now. And so she goes to undo everything that she did. And turns out that it was a good thing that they were using the actual footage because a cat came in and destroyed the fake footage and like the fake shot that they had. So it was dumb. And then there was a lot of like meta references. Like she had this like really odd director, and she was like, man, should have got Kubrick. And then and then there's another part where Woody Harrelson was in it too. He was the big CIA or the big government guy. And he said something along the lines of, if this is faked and people find out, then NASA loses all credibility and all that stuff. And we can't have the people thinking this was fake. It was dumb.
Huh.
It was dumb. And the whole way they got around a whole bunch of people work here. Someone's going to snitch. Someone's going to say something. You can't keep everyone quiet. Was the only people that were allowed in the production were the director that Scarlett Johansson hired, Scarlett Johansson, her assistant, and then everyone else was going to be like FBI Secret Service type people.
Okay.
Who definitely have never, ever spilled the beans on anything before. And then at one point, the director brings in his own lighting guy, and he just strolls in. He's like, "How'd you get in here? This is top secret." And he's like, "I just walked through the front door." So, all in all, it had a 6.6 on IMDb, and that's probably about what I'd give it. If it had the balls to go there to actually say, "Yeah, it was faked, and this is how they would have done it," then I would have rated it much higher. But they didn't.
Think the director would have gotten punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin?
I had no idea he was still alive. Emily and I were talking about it, and I knew that Neil Armstrong had died. I knew that Michael Collins was dead, but I had no idea that Buzz Aldrin was still around kicking it.
Yeah, I He lives in Texas, right? Or was that Lance Armstrong? Or Neil Armstrong? Wrong Armstrong.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing when we were talking about it. I don't know. I have no clue. I just know that he's a curmudgeon. Which, I mean, if people go around saying that the greatest accomplishment in your life was all fake, then I can kind of see where he's coming from. But still.
Yeah. Or in the case that it was faked, which I'm very much not saying that it was, you've been defending this narrative for so long that I think at some point you got to get especially feisty with it.
I'm sure that wears thin,
you got to make
too.
a real statement.
Having to keep that secret.
I don't know what I thought Fly Me to the Moon was about, but I thought it was a rom-com, not an actual movie about the moon landing.
In a roundabout way. I mean, it stars two attractive people, so they obviously get together at the end.
I imagined it in more of a, it's based on the Frank Sinatra song and not the Celestial Body.
Well, what is Frank Sinatra talking about? What metaphorical moon would he be referring to?
I don't have an answer for that one, but I thought it was a reference to the song which references the celestial body, not a song about the thing or a movie about the thing directly.
It does get a lot of airplay in the song, and it's over the end credits. So, but it's not the Frank Sinatra version. It's a female singing it.
Okay. I have never actually been able to listen to Sinatra, and I blame Olive Garden for it because their entire soundtrack at Olive Garden is just bad covers of
It's Amore
Sinatra music. Well, it's not even It's Amore. It's if you've heard how many times they've played Fly Me to the Moon or My Way and stuff like that, it sounds like a discount version of either Frank Sinatra or Michael Bublé. It wears on you.
There's a country, I want to say it's Malaysia, Taiwan, Vietnam, I don't know, somewhere in that area, where there's some sort of reputation associated with the song My Way, and it's gotten people killed before.
Okay. That's
I think it was a Mr. Ballin story. Dude sang it at karaoke and then was immediately taken out. You should look into it. You should look into it. It's full
Keep that in mind.
Full of intrigue. Oh boy. It was hard to come up with pick one of our topics for this episode.
Okay.
Because there's I don't know if you've kept up lately. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world.
There is too much stuff going on in the world. I re-downloaded TikTok because I wanted to look for something specific, and I am going to uninstall it again tonight.
Oh my God.
That was intense.
Just learn some self-control.
Yeah, that is why I uninstall it.
You're hot and cold. Your yes and your no.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of astronauts. The headlines have been absolute insanity this week.
Yeah. Housekeeping from a former episode. Did you see that all that stuff went to trial, and it turns out that the house was actually bought in Orlando Bloom's name?
I didn't know that. Huh.
He owns the corporation that's named after their daughter that actually bought the house.
Huh.
So this is getting muddy.
That's interesting.
If I were him, I would throw her under the bus so hard. They're not together anymore.
Are they divorced now? Okay. I was about to say, I knew they were separated, but I didn't know if they were actually.
No. I think it's FBO. I think it's Facebook official.
Oh. Not in its complicated situation anymore. Unfortunate.
Oh my God. Such a pick-me thing to put on your Facebook. Silly. All right. You ready for the three things? The three
what do you got?
Completely unrelated to any news story that is happening right now things.
I don't like this lead in, but what do you got for me?
All right. You got pyramids. You got the Eiffel Tower. You got online dating.
I'm going to need you to pick 3 different things. Oh my God. The pyramids,
Yes.
the Eiffel Tower,
Yes.
online dating.
Yes, ma'am.
My first thought was things that are smaller in person. I feel like the thing about online dating is men are notoriously like, I'm 6'2", and they show up and they're short kings. There's no shame in being 5'4", but you can't be mad that somebody is upset that you claimed you were 10 inches taller than you actually are.
But what if you live your entire life with platform shoes on?
The Tom Cruise defense.
And you don't know a
Smart.
life where you aren't 6'2" because you have 8-inch lifts. What about them?
How do 8-inch lifts? How do you go about your day-to-day life with that?
Yeah.
How do you
Every day,
do
man.
that? You can't drive a car?
Practice. Why not? Why
I
not?
don't think that angle makes any kind of sense.
If me being 6'1" can drive a car, why can't someone who has that extra length just at the end of their shoe drive a car?
Are your feet 8 inches thick?
No, but it's funny you mention that because you know what is?
What?
My heart. It's actually a serious
That feels
condition.
too thick. His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And he immediately had to go to the ER. He died, actually.
Quite unfortunate. Also, one last thing. Would you be showering or bathing in these platform shoes? Do you not take them off and accept your real height when you're trying to get clean?
I imagine it being like a Tobias Funke situation. So instead of a
Oh,
never
okay.
nude, he's a never short.
Huh. Okay.
So he has devised a way in order to live this life despite his shortcomings.
Boo. Okay.
But you are on the right track with online dating. You just have to find a way to weave in the other two.
So it is about lying on your dating profile?
Yes. I mean, the way I have it tied in, it's more of a broader thing, but essentially, when you boil it down, it's lying on a dating profile.
Okay. Online dating,
Mm-hmm.
the Eiffel Tower, and the pyramids. Can I get a hint? Is there a fourth one that you were maybe waffling between?
Yeah, but it would have given it away. I could tweak it a little bit and tell you Bernie. So if you had 4 things, it would be pyramids, Eiffel Towers, online dating, Bernie.
That makes me feel like it's an old thing.
I mean, my fun fact for this episode is a very old fact. But maybe if you, instead of thinking of the pyramid as like a 3-dimensional shape, just take 2D, a 2D pyramid.
You mean a triangle?
Which is a triangle. Yes. Pyramid made it sound more mysterious.
Was this an Illuminati episode?
Eiffel Tower. No, we're not there yet. We're not cancel proof yet.
Damn it. Is anyone cancel proof? Okay, so Bernie.
There's your bonus.
But
yeah.
In 2D. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, since you're throwing in the towel.
Throwing in the towel.
Schemes and scams. Pyramid schemes. The Eiffel Tower being sold twice. Online dating.
Bernie Madoff, not Sanders.
Yes.
Okay.
See, if I'd said Madoff, you would have known what I was talking about. Yep. There we go. All right. So schemes and scams.
Schemes and scams. All right.
Do you know what is most accepted as the first scam that has ever been written in history enough to where present day people would be able to recount what happened?
I mean, I feel like you could maybe go like the snake oil salesman route, where there was just traveling shows of nonsense fix-alls.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go back even farther than that.
Uh, People trying to sell like the Brooklyn Bridge and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, this actually took place in 300 BC,
Oh, I'm not going nearly far enough back. Okay.
and it was two fellows named Hegestratos and Xenostomus,
Okay.
and they had a ship. The ship carried cargo from one place to the other. They were based out of Greece, and they took out what equates to a loan to finance the trip with the ship as collateral. And so how it would work is that you would be at your port city. You'd say, "Hey, I need the money for this trip." They'd say, "Okay, we will give you this amount of money. You pay us this plus interest upon whenever you're expected to arrive there, and we're square." What these fellas did is they took the bottomry, is what they're called, and went on their merry way, started sailing out, and almost immediately decided to, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to sink this bitch. We're going to take the money and run. In the process of trying to sink their boat, they were caught. Hegestratos drowned trying to escape, and the
Okay.
other one got caught, and there was no record of what happened to him afterwards, but I'm sure it was not good.
Would not imagine. No.
But that is one of the first instances in written history of someone trying to pull a scam, and it was an insurance scam.
Huh. That is. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either until I started researching this. I was just curious how far back our flawed human senses have been around, and now we know it's at least 300 BC.
Learn something new every day.
So when you think of a scam, a scheme, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think of pyramid schemes in
Mm.
the like Amway kind of way,
Cutco.
or the Mary Kay. Yeah, Cutco. Tupperware.
What's the one with like the vitamins and stuff?
I went to school with a girl who was a sales rep for them, and I don't remember.
Pyramid schemes, they can be really dressed up to where you don't realize it's a pyramid scheme until you are well in it.
Yeah.
But I will also say, in pyramid schemes' defense, is you get to reconnect with friends you haven't heard from in 20 years. When they reach out to you on Facebook and say, "Hey girl, how's it going? It's been a while.
I've
Have
gotten a
you
couple
heard
of those.
about?" Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, mine don't start out as with "Hey girl" because I don't have Facebook.
That's disappointing.
So
Oh. But they would start out with "Hey girl" if you did have a Facebook. It's more of a method of contacting you than a using the wrong gender
maybe,
here.
maybe I don't know. I don't know. That's not worth getting a Facebook to find out. I can tell you that much.
That is an absolute fact.
I've already did a soft ban on TikTok recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given
Spent a
all
lot
the
more time
craziness, it makes
on
sense.
Twitter, on X though, which definitely is
That
not
can't be better.
is not a good trade off because people are a lot more opinionated on X than they are on TikTok. But
Yeah.
you know, is what it is. So, grandfather of the modern day pyramid scheme.
Mhm.
I don't know if pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes are really Like, they have a lot of similarities, but I don't know if they're enough to be the same thing.
Can you explain to me what a Ponzi scheme is? Because I don't know that I know the difference.
I can
I always
tell
thought
you.
they were kind of interchangeable.
I can tell you all about Charles Ponzi. He was an Italian immigrant who became infamous in the 1920s for inventing the high-yield investment fraud that now bears his name.
It is pretty cool that it's named after him, I will
It
say.
is, yeah. His scam, based on the supposed purchase of international postal reply coupons, which I think were like stamps, something like, or like bonds, maybe.
Okay.
I couldn't really. It was above my financial literacy ability,
Sure.
and promised investors returns of around 50% in 45 days. Today, if someone offers
Sounds
you
legit.
a 50% increase in any investment that you make in a short amount of time, in really any amount of time, if they say, I can tell you that you give me $100, give me a month and a half, boom, you got $150 now. If that's a scam, do not give them your money. Do not say, hey, here you go. Let's test it out. Oh my God, it worked. Here's my life savings. Don't do that. Okay. There's a little cash exchange PSA.
Sure.
A CEPSA. But what made it what we know of now as a Ponzi scheme is that he would be robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know what that phrase means?
Yeah.
So he would get his initial investors. They would give him X amount of dollars. And then he would say, okay, I will give you this return in this amount of time. And so what he does is he will take that money and go find new people and say, hey, I will give you X amount of dollars, a return in your investment in this amount of days. They give him money. He pays off the first guy, and then he just keeps going and going down the line. So the people at the beginning get their money, and then word of mouth spreads, and then they're like, hey, this guy is great. He's a genius. He knows exactly what he's doing. And so it just spreads like wildfire through all these people. And this was the 1920s. So you got world wars in there. You got Great Depression. You got everything going on. People were strapped for cash. So the little bit of money they had, they were given to this guy because they had been told by people that they trusted that this works, this system works, whatever he's doing, it's like magic.
That is deeply depressing.
Yeah. And it only lasted 8 months. He made, at the time, the 1920s, he was making millions of dollars a week. And
millions of dollars, like actual millions of dollars by that standard or by today's standards?
By their standards.
Oh
millions
my God.
of dollars a week. So now unbelievable amounts of money, and had no shame in hiding it. If people came a knocking, then he would just ignore it. And eventually they would just give up. But then it got so much that people, whenever word spread that, hey, something's not right here, all these people started coming in and demanding their money back. And then he ended up getting arrested. He got charged with multiple counts of mail fraud and served 10 years in prison. And then he was deported to Italy. Afterwards, he came back into the U.S. He tried to start another Ponzi scheme in Florida, and he was caught. And then he got deported back to Italy again, and then moved down to Brazil and died with nothing to his name in 1949. Charles Ponzi, the namesake for the Ponzi scheme.
That is a fun little bit of trivia.
So we talked about Charles Ponzi. Now we talk about the one who brought Ponzi schemes into the 21st century.
20th, right?
No, 21st.
I don't really know how long ago.
It was both. It was both, because I mean he'd been doing it for a long time. That man is Bernie Madoff, who just recently died in prison. I want to say 2 years ago. I don't remember. It wasn't that long ago.
That's a lot more recent than I thought.
I'm pretty sure. I can double check. Unlike Buzz Aldrin, I know that he's dead. 2021, 4 years ago.
Unlike Buzz Aldrin, you know that he's dead?
I know that Bernie
we not-
Madoff is dead.
Do we not know that Buzz Aldrin is alive? Oh, you didn't
No,
know
we
this. Never
do.
mind.
Yes. Yes, I knew that Bernie Madoff had died. I thought that Buzz Aldrin was dead. Buzz Aldrin is still
okay.
alive. Bernie Madoff is still, in fact, dead. Bernie Madoff, honestly put Charles Ponzi's, the namesake of the Ponzi scheme, to shame with his shenanigans. He was touted as like one of the greatest investors of all time, and like very like people you would be surprised, names that you definitely know, gave this man so much money and couldn't see the writing on the wall that something ain't jiving.
Can you give me an example in that? The names that I would recognize? Because I don't know a ton about the Enron situation. I know it was a massive scandal that blew up, but
Enron is different from Bernie Madoff.
was it?
Yeah, I got Enron in here later. Spoiler alert.
I always equated the two things.
Yeah, I mean they both were around the same time. Okay. Some of the more famous ones. Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg's one of his foundations. Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick.
Okay.
Larry King. John Malkovich. Jeffrey Katzenberg.
I know
Of
I know that
DreamWorks
name, but I
fame.
don't know. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, him and Steven Spielberg started DreamWorks.
I didn't know that Spielberg started DreamWorks.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that Jeffrey Katzenberg had something to do with Disney, and he had some ideas, and they were like, yeah, no, we're good. And then he just was like, okay, see ya, and then went and started a competing animation studio.
That's why one of their OG movies, the one that they're definitely most known for, is just one big screw you to Disney.
Yeah, Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's just a taste of the list, but I mean anyone could get in contact with them and could be set up, and all of a sudden promises are made for the upper echelon people. Promises were kept for a little while, and then then it all fell apart, because that's the thing with Ponzi schemes. Eventually you run out of people that you can get the money from.
Yeah.
And then it just you can't pay the earlier people, and then it just all collapses on itself.
I feel like I remember seeing something a while ago that said that you would only be able to do like 13 rounds or something incredibly small worth of a pyramid scheme before it just took over the entire population of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he kept this going for decades, and it wasn't until December 2008 the authorities stepped in and really took a look at everything. The reason it was in December of 2008 is because that's when the 2008 financial crisis happened. And then all of a sudden, everyone was real concerned with where their money was going, really balancing their checkbooks over and over to make sure there wasn't any bleed out, because no one was having a good time then, especially financially.
Sure.
He ends up going to trial, gets found guilty. You want to guess what his sentence was?
What?
150 years.
Wow. That's actually pretty impressive for a crime of that nature. Usually those people get let off very easy.
It's estimated that he swindled around $65 billion from people. And I mean, even for Charles Ponzi making millions a week in the 1920s, that's nothing compared to making $65 billion now.
That is incredible. How long was this scheme running?
Decades. I
That
didn't
is
get the first one that they were able to pin to him, but yeah, it was definitely, it was decades. Like, probably starting in mid 70s, 80s,
Oh, it goes back to
all the
the
way to
70s?
2008. I think so.
That is completely horrific and incredible. Not in a good way,
Like,
obviously, but that's
to get away with it for that long,
sick.
yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
It's something. There's a Carl Shapiro listed on here. I was seeing if he was related to Benjamin. I don't think he is, though.
That's I would think a fairly common last name.
Yeah, but again, everyone 2008 hit. Everyone came a knocking saying, "Hey, I need my money back because I lost my job or I had to foreclose on my house." And if you haven't, make sure you check out The Big Short. Fantastic movie about the entire 2008 housing market crash. Um, and then when they realized that, hey, there was money to take, then that's when the authorities got involved. And just like our friend Charlie ended up getting the book thrown at him.
For the first time, there was not money in the banana stand.
Nope. Because it was given to the first banana stand. And then you're going to get the third banana stand's money. And so on and so forth.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, well, give it a shot. Give it a shot. If Ponzi could make it 8 months, Bernie could make it decades. Shoot for a century.
I mean, I don't know that I've got a century left to play with.
Anyways, what do you know about the Eiffel Tower? If you give me 3 fun
Incredibly
facts.
little.
Okay.
I know nothing about the Eiffel Tower.
Which imitator do you think is better, the one in Vegas or the one in Paris, Texas, with the cowboy hat on it?
I mean, my heart has to go to the Texan one, but
Damn
I
straight.
stayed in the Eiffel Tower in Vegas. It was fine. It was a decent hotel for being on the Strip.
Yeah. Middle child. We were talking about. She saw a giant antenna, and she said, "That's the Eiffel Tower of Texas." I was like, "No, it's not, because we have an actual Eiffel Tower." What? We have to go see it. And then she
You do.
said, and I said, "Yeah, we can go see it maybe sometime." And she was like, "Unless there's nothing else to do there. If it's just the Eiffel Tower, then we don't need to go." And I said, "It's just the Eiffel Tower. There's
Just the Eiffel
nothing else
Tower.
to do in Paris, Texas." Oh, okay, never mind then. I said, "But we could see it like passing through, going somewhere else." So,
Yeah. I think you should instill a knowledge of Route 66 in your middle child, because she could, with her love of the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, she could very easily
uh,
turn that passion into wanting to see the world's largest catsup bottle, which is in somewhere that I was recently, I think. I feel like
next time we go to Albuquerque, we're going to stop at the world's largest pistachio.
I'm sorry, what?
That's the world's largest pistachio. It's not in Las Vegas, New Mexico, but it's somewhere in that area.
Las Cruces?
Uh,
Is there a Las Vegas, New
maybe.
Mexico?
There is, yeah.
Huh. Also, yeah, the largest bottle of catsup in Collinsville, Illinois. I am a sucker for a roadside attraction.
Me too.
They're just nonsense, and I think it is one of the coolest things about
Alamo
humanity.
Gordo. Nah, I should have known that. It's an Alamo Gordo.
Alamo Gordo. Okay. That's
And if you head west from here, heading towards the ABQ, you're going to be stopping through Alamogordo, and you can stop and see the world's largest pistachio.
Huh. Is this a naturally occurring pistachio? Was it a is it a memorialization? Is it the largest statue of pistachio? What are we talking?
It is as natural as plaster can be.
That's disappointing. I was really hoping this was one of those like largest pumpkin situations, but maybe they like cast it in resin so it didn't get gross over time.
Can you imagine how hard it would be to open the world's largest pistachio? Be like Fort Knox.
Would it be harder or easier to open the world's largest pistachio?
Have you tried to open a regular sized pistachio without tools?
You use tools for your pistachios? What tools would you use for a pistachio?
Like a nutcracker.
You use a nutcracker on pistachios?
The pistachios you buy are pre-opened.
Not all. I don't buy the pre-opened ones. They're more expensive. Oh my God, this place is called Pistachio Land. We're taking a road trip. This is so silly. I didn't know they grew on trees. I don't know how I thought pistachios grew, but this wasn't it. This is a pistachio orchard. I'm learning all kinds of stuff today.
Well, yeah, that's what makes it a nut. That's why peanuts aren't nuts. They're beans. Because they come from the ground.
Why do we call them peanuts?
They're legumes. I don't know. Why do we call a strawberry when it's not a berry? Why isn't a banana called a banana berry when it is a berry?
That's a good point.
I don't know. I didn't make these crazy rules. I just have to follow them.
I believe that pistachios should be a bush. They should grow on bushes. That's how that makes sense to me.
What is a bush? But not just a series of little tiny trees clumped together. There's your wisdom for the
It's a tree without its platform boots.
There you go. If a bush had an online dating profile and it didn't disclose that, that would be a scheme and a scam. And we are back.
And we're back.
Victor Lustig was a man who managed to successfully sell the Eiffel Tower one time, and it worked, and then attempt to sell the Eiffel Tower a second time, and it did not pan out the second time. So what he did was he posed as a government official that was the person in charge of getting rid of the Eiffel Tower. And I've heard before, I don't know how true it is, but most Parisians don't like the Eiffel Tower.
Because it attracts all the tourists?
I think that's part of it, and they're stuck-up, snooty French people.
Sure.
But also because they just think that it is... I mean, it's a metal structure. That's all it is. I don't think it's as foo-foo as most French would prefer it to be. Maybe I should put a little beret on top of it. Spice it up. French it up.
Yeah?
Maybe take a few pointers from the good old US of A and just dress it up a little bit. Maybe you'll find a new appreciation for it.
Yeah. Build a baguette to scale.
Yeah. Just give it a paper sack on the side that has a baguette sticking out of it.
See, I think that one is American. But if it doesn't have the paper bag, it's French.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the last time I bought a baguette, but you gotta make a show every time you buy one.
You do. I mean, they're unwieldy. I was making spaghetti and meatballs here, and we were gonna have garlic bread, but we didn't have any garlic bread. So I ran to Aldi and got a baguette, and for whatever reason, it was like, I don't know, maybe like the diameter of it was like 2 inches, but it was like 2.5 feet long. And so you got to
buy a breadstick.
I mean, it was bread. It was a baguette, but it was just extremely. It was odd shaped, and at Aldi, you have to pay for a cart. You have to pay for bags. I was just running in. I was getting one thing. And so I just went up, got it, paid for it, and just walk out with this floppy baguette back to my truck. And it felt real strange. But, I brought it home and made some fantastic garlic bread with it. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that baguettes come in all shapes and sizes. And
You
that just
lost me
because
at
it doesn't conform to your idea of what a baguette should be doesn't make it any less of a baguette. So
you lost me in that story at you needing both to put a quarter in the little cart rental thingy, and also you needed a bag. You had to pay for a bag to take home 1 2-foot long.
I didn't pay for a bag and I didn't get a cart.
You just said you.
No, I'm saying if you've been to Aldi, then you know that you have to do that. I was getting one
But
thing.
you didn't have to do that.
I didn't do that, no. But I could have concealed my purchase better if I had. I
Could
didn't have
been
to
the
walk
lone
out of the
item in your
store.
cart.
I didn't have to walk out the store, just my floppy baguette just flapping all around, trying to get back to the truck so I could get home. I could have concealed it better, but it made no
Sure.
sense, and so I didn't. And if people want to judge me for that, then that's on them. That's not me. I'm cool as a cucumber. You say whatever you want to say. Won't bother me none.
Uh-huh.
Because I still came home and made some great garlic bread.
So back on the Eiffel Tower.
Yes, back on the Eiffel Tower. He posed as a government official that was in charge of dismantling the Eiffel Tower and selling it for scrap metal because they
Okay.
were done with it. And so what he did was he gathered up some local scrap metal people
Mm-hmm.
so that he could explain everything to them and get a bid on it, on how much they would pay for the scrap metal from the Eiffel Tower. Most of the, and he did it upright. He met them in a fancy hotel and laid it all out for them. Almost everybody saw right through it. They're like, nah, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
No we here. Is no in French too?
I think so, but it's N-O-N.
None.
I'm pretty
Anyways.
sure, yeah.
Anyways, they didn't say we. They said the opposite of we, whatever that is what they told Victor. Except for one gentleman, a man by the name of Andre Poisson.
Huh.
You think there's any relation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, let's
Absolutely.
hope so.
I think there's relation.
Let's hope this is their claim to fame. Yeah, and another very smart thing he did was that he told all these scrap metal people, "Hey, we got to keep this on the down low. All right, they want to get rid of it because the costs to upkeep it are just through the roof. So they just want to get rid of it. But we know there's going to be a public outcry. People are going to be pissed. So we got to keep it quiet, all right, until the deal's done, and then we can say, hey, there's nothing we can do. It's already been signed. Contract's been signed. It's out of our hands. So
that is a smart way to go about it.
And Poisson was his only bite when he threw out his hook for the scam. But he still had his reservations. He still thought something seemed a little hinky. And so what Victor did was he said, hey, being a public servant, it's not great money. And I have this great deal for you, but, I also have these other takers. So what can we do? How can we make this deal work for everyone? How about, Mr. Poisson, you slip me 70,000 francs to let me know you're serious. You let me know you're serious because I'm a public servant. It's rough out here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the duty for my people, but I could use a little persuasion on getting everything in order, making sure that you can make this as profitable for yourself as possible. And so that sold him. That sold Poisson. He was like, oh, okay. He's asking for a bribe. This must be legit. And so, so he gives Victor the $70,000, and he then paid for the fictitious contract with proper like on the right stationery, forged stationery, but it looked legit enough for Poisson to sign off on it, and ended up selling the scrap to Poisson for a total of 1.2 million francs, which today is worth 5.3 million. So that's a pretty sweet payday to sell something that you don't own and then just wash your hands of it. So he got the 1.2 million plus the 70,000 that he got in the bribe, and he made out like a bandit. But then
that is.
Then, whenever Poisson caught on to the fact that he did not, in fact, buy the Eiffel Tower to be scrap metal, he was too embarrassed that he got so hoodwinked, so bamboozled, that he just didn't say anything. I wish that I could lose 1.2 million whatevers in a deal, and my embarrassment of it is so severe that I can just wash my hands of that 1.2 and say, you know what? I learned a lesson. I'm going to go on about my life.
Yeah. I mean, he's on the record now. We know that he's
we know he's a big old dum-dum.
That he bought the Eiffel Tower to use for scrap metal. That's
and then to walk around Paris, and for it to not even in Paris, it is just, it's a worldwide symbol. To see it everywhere. You're walking down the street and you see a little toddler that has a onesie on that says Paris with a picture of the Eiffel Tower on it. And that's just always a reminder of what an idiot you were. That is the worst thing to have as a reminder of your complete stupidity is the Eiffel Tower, because it is literally everywhere.
There is not a more French symbol. It's the beret, the baguette, and the Eiffel Tower.
Oh. And so Victor kept an eye on the newspapers because he knew the gig was up. He knew that he had been, he knew that Poisson knew what was going on, but nothing was ever in the papers. And so he figured that if nothing was here now, then he's not going to say anything. So I could just do this again. And so a little while later, he attempts it again, except this time, the person that he approaches about the sale is not a complete moron and goes to the authorities, and Victor goes on the run.
Okay.
Came to the great US of A.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? Just before 1947, 1930. I mean, that's like Ellis Island time, right? You just hop on a ship, go to Ellis Island.
Great American hiding spot.
Go from Victor Lustig to Frank Smith, and then you're good. You're good to go. But if only he had left his criminal ways behind him in France. But he didn't. He eventually ended up being imprisoned at the Rock.
Yeah.
In the Bay. Good old Alcatraz. And then he ended up dying there in 1947.
What was he imprisoned for?
Didn't say.
His schemes got him. Oh.
I didn't say. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't dive that deep into it. Probably should have.
I would be curious what moment I think that Poisson realized that he'd been had. Did he drive up to the Eiffel Tower with just like the collection trucks and a staff and
a couple torches?
Like, yeah, what was the process here?
She's a mine. Oh, that was more Mario.
Nope.
I don't know if I could do French on the spot. Oh, a lot of phlegm. Very phlegmy people.
It is a very phlegmy language, that's for sure.
Oh. All right. So how do you feel about our Wall of Infamy? Who's your favorite? The OG?
The OG.
Fonzie? Bernie? Because he was so good at it? or Victor Lustig, because he was just so brazen. They
I
all have
kind of have to.
their qualities.
I mean, there's something to be said about the first in recorded history to have done it, but I think I've got to go with Victor Lustig because to sell the Eiffel Tower successfully at least once is pretty incredible.
That's a good choice. Honestly, I would pick him too. Because he picked the perfect mark. Because even when he found out what was going on, he was too embarrassed to
You just
say
let
anything.
1.2 million francs slide.
Yeah. So
to save his ego. He nailed it.
So yeah, I definitely think that he's probably the best of all of them. All right, you ready to shift a little bit to companies who were
What do we got?
schemers and scammers? This first entry I have, I was a little hesitant. I was going to put it in the part before, but there's actually two people that took a majority of the blame for what happened, but everyone knows about the one.
Okay.
And that is Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. You know anything about Theranos?
The extent of my knowledge about Elizabeth Holmes is unfortunately through The Dropout on Hulu, a show that I have not watched, which would be very helpful, I feel like, in this situation, and unfortunately a new episode of Family Guy, which parodies that and The Bear. And then, like, they did an HBO episode and a Hulu episode. Hulu's was Only Murders in the Building, The Bear, and The Dropout.
Gotcha. Yeah. If you watch some of the stuff whenever Elizabeth Holmes was peddling the Edison machine, which was the flagship product of Theranos, she just comes across as crazy. She's always wide-eyed. Like her eyes, she's like just staring into your soul the entire time she's talking to you. She stole she always looked like she just went to Steve Jobs' estate sale and bought all of his turtlenecks.
It's a marker of success.
And then whenever she would talk, it would be, yes, at Theranos, it's a very fake put on, trying to act like she's high academic voice.
Okay.
And just everything about her was so silly. She was like her own caricature trying to sell this product to these companies. And the Edison product, the thing that she touted it would do was that it would take a drop of blood, or a small amount. I don't even know if it was exactly like a drop, but in like the diabetes tester things. So like that. And then all of a sudden it could churn out this huge panel of everything that's wrong with you, which that would be like a miracle thing if that had actually existed. Spoiler alert, it did not.
It's disappointing.
There was some very creative ways to mislead the investors that were giving Theranos money for this world-changing invention. A lot of it revolved around they would take the samples that they got from the Edison, and then they would have to ship those out to actual blood labs to test them, and then they would then come back with the results and say, yeah, here you go. Totally came from Edison. On like their own stationery, so that it all looked legit, and just mind-boggling. And her defense was that she just needed to fake it till you make it. She
They
needed to
had enough
string them
funding they
along
could.
long enough to where they could actually get a functioning device, and then it would be like a real thing. But they couldn't get it without the investors, which I
Okay.
think that if there was enough, if she had been able to show enough promise for it, I think that there's enough angel investors out there that she could have had plenty of money for it. There's so much money that's dumped into Kickstarters that she definitely could have found the money. And whenever there was a functional product available, those people would have made their money back tenfold.
Not for nothing, but how much of the success of a scam is based on the effectiveness in which you can recreate stationery?
It's pretty crazy. Another person
The
that was
document looks official.
gonna make the list for the previous section of individuals would have been Frank Abagnale Jr., the one that they made Catch Me If You Can about
Okay.
with Leonardo DiCaprio. They really did him a solid by casting Leonardo DiCaprio in his role, because he was nowhere near, as to my eyes, as charming and as handsome as Leonardo DiCaprio is in that movie. It probably also helped that he was like a consultant on the movie and was also
Okay.
in the movie. So they're like,
It's in the
huh,
movie.
we're going to get Leo for this. Yeah, at the end. He's one of the cops that gets him at the end and sends him to prison.
Oh, okay. I actually own that on DVD now. It's one of
Oh,
my
yeah?
my few discs.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's a good throwback. That was one of the good things about Fly Me to the Moon, is that it had like all 60s aesthetics in it.
Mhm.
So that's one kudos I can give to it. At one point, Theranos was valuated at $9 billion. So they had the money flowing in.
Yeah.
But all that money and valuation was based on lies that were being told about a technology that didn't exist. And so fraud.
Mhm.
Fraud in like the most literal definition possible.
What is the timeline on the Theranos, like, in this particular story? What years are we talking?
Like from start to, let's see. I do know that it ended in 2018 is when it was shut down.
Okay.
It was founded in 2003, dissolved and liquidated. Founder convicted in January of 2022 of wire fraud and conspiracy and sentenced to 11 and a quarter years in prison.
I wonder how they worked out the 3 months that you would also get on top of your 11 years.
Yeah, I don't know. But from the beginning, it was about the blood testing. She had worked on, I mean, it was real pie in the sky stuff, like a computer chip that would be used to not nearly as much as what she promised the Edison could do, but along those same lines. And when she started it, I think she had good intentions for that. She also started it with a trust from her parents, so came from money, and then ran out of that money or wanted more money, or I don't know, really fell into the Steve Jobs cosplay and just decided you weren't anything if you didn't have a company valued at $9 billion. I don't know, but
Sure.
I think she started with good intentions and it just got away from her.
I could see that.
Yeah, definitely has crazy eyes. So not someone that you should give
Does.
your money to.
She's definitely got Amanda Seyfried. Nailed it.
She in 2012 they started. They had a partnership with Safeway pharmacies where they would do like in-store blood testing, and so that helped them.
Gain some legitimacy.
Yeah, yeah. Even all that was just BS. That was all bull, and nothing ever actually came to fruition with that. And then a year later, even after the Safeway stuff wasn't doing anything. Walgreens got in on it too,
Oh,
which I think was a case
good.
of FOMO more than anything else.
Sure.
So they'd be willing to throw money at it even if it didn't work out, just so no one else could have it and they didn't.
Are they owned by the same people?
Are they? I have no clue.
Maybe it's like Safeway and Rite Aid. There's a couple of them that are like big chains that are actually connected.
Maybe. Yeah, on this one, she wasn't just falsifying Theranos papers. She was also falsifying papers that supposedly it came from places like Pfizer and like
Oh.
huge pharmaceutical companies to
Huh.
bolster her lies about the success of
Mhm.
the Edison. She had also convinced people that her invention was currently being used in the military.
Okay.
I mean, she went full bore. The whistleblower stated that Elizabeth and the chief operating officer, Ramesh Sunny Balwani, were very secretive about everything. There were not even veiled threats of if you say anything outside of this company, it will be terrible for you.
Oh.
And so, I mean, that
Huh.
doesn't seem like something a reputable company would do, to outright say, "Hey, shut up or else."
Is that not? I assume that is actually how most large, actually successful companies work. Maybe put in more professional terms, but
From everything I've seen, it was out in the open.
yeah.
Like, don't say a fucking word, I swear to God.
Hmm.
Kind
Okay.
of like, you know how Ron Swanson had that claymore on his desk?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that. Like, hey, say something. Maybe this gets put in front of your door. I don't know. Maybe.
Huh.
Maybe. Yeah. So she got 11 and a quarter years, and Ramesh, who was completely complicit in all of it, ended up getting 12 felony counts of fraud and conspiracy, and was also
Huh.
sentenced to roughly the same amount of time in prison.
You'd think that $9 billion worth of fraud would carry a little higher of a sentence than 11 years and 3 months.
You'd think so. But then you also have Bernie Madoff, who, I mean, grand scheme of things, 65 billion versus the 9 billion. He got 150 years. So I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't think I understand anything about the prosecution for white collar crimes. Prosecution for any crimes.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't really understand how those timelines shake out.
it's all over the place. Yeah, and then there's also, oh, well, he's getting life in prison with the possibility of parole in 25 years. Okay. So, like, I understand that you may not be granted parole, but then that's not really life. If you have the opportunity, you're just here until they say that you're not here anymore.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe we come up with a different term instead of life.
I have legitimately never understood what a life sentence is. I don't feel like it's a standard unit. I don't feel like I've
No,
ever
it's
heard it
not.
in the same numbers. So like what is a life sentence?
I I couldn't tell you.
Like
A life
there's
sentence in other countries can be like 15 years, 10 years.
huh,
They say he got life, so he'll be in there for at least 12 years. Okay, that doesn't seem like life to me, but I don't know.
I'm gonna add that as our not so fun fact for the next episode. What exactly constitutes a life sentence?
Is American sentencing procedures?
Just that one specific thing. If I get too deep in the weeds, it's gonna make everybody sad.
Do you know anything about Dieselgate? Dieselgate?
No. This is the least informed I have ever been for one of our episodes.
Oh,
I'm just here for moral support.
what about the people's car?
People's car?
Yeah, the Volkswagen and Dieselgate. Okay. Okay.
Nope.
Sent. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Because I got everything you need right here. In 2015,
Mhm.
the Volkswagen company was approached because they were confronted with evidence that I believe it was the Jettas. It was a sedan that ran on diesel. The emissions that were actually coming out of the car were completely different than what the computer was saying the emissions coming out of the car were.
I do remember this one.
So every company or every country has their own rules for how much emissions a car is allowed to release. And there's all kinds of different factors in it. There's all kinds of stuff. But for the most part, it's, hey, you can't have something that's just blowing black smoke out all day. So you got to rein it in. You got to figure out what you need to do for your engines. You need to figure out if you need DEF. You need to figure out if you need different catalytic converters or what you got to do to fix it to make sure all that stuff isn't going up, blowing a hole in the ozone, going to burn us all up to death. Right? Well, the discrepancy between what the computers of these cars were saying versus what was actually coming out was a difference of about 4,000% above the legal limit for emissions. And so, after enough poking and prodding, Volkswagen finally fessed up to the fact that they had installed a defeat device on the computers of these cars that when they knew that they were being scanned, when they were being tested for emissions, that they would top out below the legal limit. But as soon as that testing was over, then it was let her rip. And that came out to about 400 times the legal emissions limit. And they had to pay billions of dollars to do a recall. And then not just that, but also the fines associated with lying and getting caught up in all this stuff. Yeah, and then they decided to throw their hat into the EV ring. So no telling what they're doing with all that. I don't even know what the regulations are for EVs right now. I'm sure that there's something. I don't feel like there's a ton either. But they've been around long enough that, like, what are they doing with these batteries?
Yeah.
I know getting your battery swapped out in your EV is expensive as hell.
Yeah, with I think hybrids and EVs, you get 100,000 miles out of them, and then you have a $10,000 replacement for the battery for it.
Yeah.
That's what I understand about electric cars. But I think that so much of it is thus far a little hard to regulate just because it's so new and moving so quickly. Slower than AI, but for the same kind of reasons. That it's hard to kind of get ahead of the innovation to do things the right way.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an EV. Don't plan on getting an EV until they decide to put out a Ram EV. But then Trump took office and then people were like, woo, gas. And so Ram decided to postpone the release of their Ram EV. So I'm just awaiting.
I don't think I would ever necessarily want to get an EV.
Yeah.
I mean, that's based on the technology that exists right now, not the technology that will always exist. But I don't think that I would ever want to fully separate myself from gas powered vehicles. For right now, it's in large part a charging issue. That if you go on, say, a long haul trip, you can always find a gas station, but you can't in a lot of the states right now find good charging ports.
Yeah, I mean, it
Also
takes a lot more
the
planning.
also the mining that goes into making those batteries is at best a little ethically dicey.
Yeah, you start picking at that thread, and then there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that you are no longer able
Yeah.
to use.
We would not be doing any of the podcasting that we're doing right now, I'm sure.
We would not. But it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I don't know I don't know how to save that. You know how to save it? You have any suggestions?
I'm all for homesteading, but I think that line might be drawn before making my own phone. Now,
Yeah.
I do wish that I was more in control of the sourcing of things in my life.
Yeah.
That is always a really tough thing when it comes to being in an apartment, so I can't really, grow my own food, and the expenses that come with buying things that are created properly.
Mhm.
So it's a move that I would like to be a part of, just not yet, I guess. I'm still in this consumerism hell for a little while longer.
Well, if you're going to be there anyways, you might as well enjoy it.
Sure.
Yeah. But you did earlier bring up Enron. Honestly, their stuff is like the white collar crimes of all time.
Yeah.
It's all real heady stuff, a lot of shell corporations that they would move all of their liabilities to so that they didn't show up on their like sheets during like earnings. What are they called?
Just like earnings calls.
Yeah, well, like the end of year reporting, they wouldn't have to list it because technically it was over here at the Shell Corporation, but Enron was still responsible for it, and it was just investor fraud,
Mhm.
and a lot of the employees, their retirements, their pensions, their all that stuff was wrapped up in Enron stock, which at the height of it was hovering around like $90 a share, which is a lot
Mhm.
for a share of a company, especially when you're dealing with as many shares as Enron would have. And then once everything hit the fan, all of a sudden those $90 shares were worth pennies, if not less, like
Yeah.
almost nothing, pretty much nothing. And then in the blink of an eye, all these people, not just employees, but all these people that had any investments with Enron were just out in the cold. And the big wigs tried to cut and run. The CEO and founder of Enron was convicted of fraud, but then died before he could get to sentencing. So never actually saw prison for it. Another CEO, Jeffrey Skilling, was sentenced to over 14 years in prison, convicted on multiple charges of fraud, just all over the place, just all kinds of silly behavior and just screwing over every person that ever put any money into Enron. The CFO, Andrew Fastow, is the one that spearheaded the moving all the assets and or the liabilities into shell corporations.
Mhm.
But he got a reduced sentence because he helped get the two upper guys. And Arthur Anderson, which was a accounting firm that signed off on everything knowing that things were hinky, and ended up that accounting firm just went away because of the scandal, and
Dang it.
no one would trust you with their money if you were
Sure, yeah.
wrapped up in Enron. Yeah, and the whole house of cards came tumbling down when the company's vice president blew the whistle on everything that was going on in 2001. Started from the top, so started with Ken, the CEO and founder, that died before he could be sentenced, and then worked her way down the line. And Enron is, I think it's it's like the poster child for corporate fraud.
Sure, yeah.
It is the reason that a lot of laws were put into place to prevent this from happening again. What is it? The Sarbanes-Oxley Act? Sarbanes-Oxley Act, yeah. Look at me
Okay.
putting that 2 years of accounting work to good use. Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that came out of the Enron scandal, and it put a tighter grip on the things that these corporations could get away with.
Mm.
And my last one I have for you is funny, not funny. It's Wells Fargo and their tactics on getting more people signed up for checking accounts, credit cards, home loans, all that kind of stuff. Creating people, fake people. I mean, it seems like Wells Fargo is the bank that's always caught up in some sort of new whatevers. And so this one wasn't really a surprise. They set extremely aggressive sales targets to try to bring in more people, more customers. It's kind of weird to think of a bank as a business,
Sure, yeah.
but at the end of the day, like there's competition. They have to make money somehow in order to pay the tellers, pay for just the day to day. So if you look at it from that point of view, it makes sense that it is a business. But on the same hand, it's just like, well, my money has to go somewhere and then I have to be able to get my money. So there's not really any option but using a bank. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's strange. The whole banking industry is very strange. And they ended up creating millions of fake accounts connected to people that did not exist. Or they would take your information and create a whole nother account for you and not tell you about it.
Huh. Interesting.
So they would create credit cards. They would do lines of credit. They would do housing loans that on paper
God.
existed, and they would be connected to people,
Mm-hmm.
but those people would not be made aware until something happened and everything was brought to light.
I wonder if this could have been helped by the favorite of the pod, freecreditreport.com.
I'm sure it could have. I know if I see something pop up, I mean, I don't know if I use Credit Karma. Is freecreditreport.com an app now?
No, so freecreditreport.com is actually just a part of one of the big three. So Credit Karma goes through all three. So it's TransUnion, Equifax, and I don't remember the third one. Freecreditreport.com is part of Equifax.
Huh.
Credit Karma pulls from all of it.
That seems like So you can only get your Equifax from freecreditreport.com?
Freecreditreport.com is a part of Experian. So like you can pull just your Experian information if you go to that website still, which from what I remember, 'cause I did look it up after that episode, it does still exist. But I think it just routes to Experian.
Yeah, I know that. But yeah, if something pops up, I'm made aware of it, and I would see that. But I don't think that's everyone's. I don't think a lot of people have their credit top of mind very much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly when you're like in the house buying process, which is what that's why I'm keeping an eye on it right now, is just make sure everything is there for whenever we move. But yeah, I mean, if I weren't in this position, then I probably wouldn't keep as vigilant of an eye on it as I do. So I think that it would probably be pretty easy to use my information towards something like that and get away with it. They were charged out the wazoo in fines for their misdeeds. I remember it being a big thing when it happened, and then it just went away. Because, I mean,
I
do you even
don't
remember
remember
it?
that one either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
I remember when it happened. It was 2016. So not that
Huh.
long ago.
Interesting.
And then that led to changing the whole way they look at the numbers, not just for Wells Fargo, but all the other banks too. They changed their tactics to maybe not put such a high priority or so much stress on getting new clients so that people would feel like they needed to cut these corners in order to hit those quotas, but instead just harass their current customers to sign up for something legitimately.
Yeah.
Which every time I go to an ATM, it's, hey, would you like to hear more about this? No, thank
Mhm.
you. No, I do not.
I can't log into my banking app without it suggesting that I apply for their credit card.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So our Greek buddies,
Mhm.
Charles Ponzi, Bernie Madoff, Victor Lustig, Theranos, Volkswagen, Enron, Wells Fargo. What is your favorite fraud that we talked about?
You know what? I have to stick with my original answer. It's got to be the dude who sold the Eiffel Tower successfully and then ran to America when he couldn't sell it a second time.
Okay.
I feel like that one at least has some kind of like, don't get me wrong, there's not humor in any of this stuff in the sense that like people did very much get screwed in every one of these scenarios.
Yeah, every single one.
But of them, the fact that he got away with it the first time because the other dude was just not willing to fess up to the fact that he bought 1.2 million francs worth of something that was not for sale. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah, it is. I think my favorite one is probably Theranos because Elizabeth Holmes is just such a kooky lady.
Yeah.
And just very unsettling.
I may have to watch The Dropout now.
You should. You
Have you
should.
seen it?
I've seen bits of it, but I don't think I've actually seen a full episode. But I'll add it to my list.
Maybe we can watch a couple episodes and reconvene on the next pod.
There we go. All right, you got anything to leave our peeps with?
I don't have a good takeaway. Don't commit fraud feels like a pretty
It's a layup.
baseline suggestion.
Yeah.
But if you have any thoughts, if you have a story that you were most interested in this episode, leave us a comment on either the thing that you're listening to this on or on our TikTok, our Instagram, our YouTube, our X at Cash Exchange Pod. Shoot us an email if you're so inclined at cashexchangepod@gmail.com.
And yeah, subscriptions and likes go a long way. Just one little button. That's all you gotta do. And it helps us out immensely.
If you learned anything, if we got something wrong, let us know.
There we go. Yeah. All right. My words of wisdom for this episode about schemes and scams would be if you're going to scheme and scam, make it funny. Don't make it detrimental to someone else. There are scams and schemes you can pull that I mean, it's just it's a little what would you call that? What's above a prank but below a scheme?
I think scam is above a prank but below a scheme. That's your like middle ground, I think.
Okay. Well then maybe
Now that you mention not making it funny necessarily, but I was reminded of a scam that was just not funny for the people involved, but funny as a person on the internet. Do you remember when I think it was in Scotland or maybe Ireland, they decided they were going to make a whole Willy Wonka experience? And it was
Yeah.
just like 3 people dressed as Oompa Loompas. They had a tapestry that was like a tablecloth they bought off of Amazon. And there was someone called the Unknown there for some reason. Like that was a character in
There
the
we go.
series. If you're gonna pull a scam, do something like that.
There you go. See, that is a funny scam.
And if you
So
don't
if
know what
you
I'm
are
talking about,
going
look it up.
to pull a scam, make it like the Willy Wonka experience. And with that, we'll see you.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
I swear it's going to look like I have the biggest Coke problem. My nose is so itchy.